Sequoiadendron giganteum is the sole living species in the genus Sequoiadendron, and one of 3 species of coniferous trees known as redwoods, classified in the family Cupressaceae in the subfamily Sequoioideae, together with Sequoia sempervirens and Metasequoia glyptostroboides. The common use of the name Sequoia generally refers to Sequoiadendron giganteum, which occurs naturally only in groves on the western slopes of the Sierra Nevada mountains of California. It is named after Sequoia, the inventor of the Cherokee syllabary. Description: giant sequoias are the world's largest single trees and largest living thing by volume. Giant sequoias grow to an average height of 50 to 85 meters and 6 to 8 meters in diameter. Record trees have been measured to be 94.8 meters in height. Claims of 17 meters diameter have been touted by taking an author's writing out of context, but the widest known at chest height is closer to 8.2 meters. Between 2014 and 2016, Sequoia sempervirens discoveries surpassed the trunk diameter of all known living giant sequoias. The oldest known giant sequoia based on ring count is 3,500 years old. Giant sequoias are among the oldest living things on Earth. Sequoia bark is fibrous, furrowed, and may be 90 centimeters thick at the base of the columnar trunk. It provides significant fire protection for the trees. The leaves are evergreen, awl-shaped, 3 to 6 millimeters long, and arranged spirally on the shoots. The seed cones are 4 to 7 centimeters long and mature in 18 to 20 months, though they typically remain green and closed for up to 20 years. Each cone has 30 to 50 spirally arranged scales, with several seeds on each scale, giving an average of 230 seeds per cone. The seed is dark brown, 4 to 5 millimeters long and 1 millimeter broad, with a 1 millimeter wide, yellow-brown wing along each side. Some seeds are shed when the cone scales shrink during hot weather in late summer, but most liberated when the cone dries from fire heat or is damaged by insects. The giant sequoia regenerates by seed. Young trees start to bear cones at the age of 12 years. Trees up to about 20 years old may produce stump sprouts subsequent to injury, but unlike coast redwood, shoots do not form on the stumps of mature trees. Giant sequoias of all ages may sprout from the boles when branches are lost to fire or breakage. At any given time, a large tree may be expected to have about 11,000 cones. Cone production is greatest in the upper portion of the canopy. A mature giant sequoia has been estimated to disperse 300,000 - 400,000 seeds per year. The winged seeds may be carried up to 180 meters from the parent tree. Lower branches die fairly readily from shading, but trees less than 100 years old retain most of their dead branches. Trunks of mature trees in groves are generally free of branches to a height of 20 to 50 meters, but solitary trees will retain low branches. Biology. Because of its size, the tree has been studied for its water pull. Water from the roots can be pushed up only a few meters by osmotic pressure, but can reach extreme heights by using a system of branching capillarity in the tree's xylem and subpressure from evaporating water at the leaves. Sequoias supplement water from the soil with fog, taken up through air roots, at heights to where the root water cannot be pulled. Distribution. The natural distribution of giant sequoias is restricted to a limited area of the western Sierra Nevada, California. They occur in scattered groves, with a total of 68 groves, comprising a total area of only 144.16 square kilometers. Nowhere does it grow in pure stands, although in a few small areas, stands do approach a pure condition. The northern two-thirds of its range, from the American River in Placer County southward to the Kings River, has only 8 disjunct groves. The remaining southern groves are concentrated between the Kings River and a Deer Creek Grove in southern Tulare County. Groves range in size from 12.4 square kilometers with 20,000 mature trees to small groves with only 6 living trees. Many are protected in Sequoia and Kings Canyon National Parks and Giant Sequoia National Monument. The giant sequoia is usually found in a humid climate characterized by dry summers and snowy winters. Most giant sequoia groves are on granitic-based residual and alluvial soils. The elevation of the giant sequoia groves generally ranges from 1,400 to 2,000 meters in the north to 1,700–2,150 meters to the south. Giant sequoias generally occur on the south-facing sides of northern mountains, and on the northern faces of more southerly slopes. High levels of reproduction are not necessary to maintain the present population levels. Few groves, however, have sufficient young trees to maintain the present density of mature giant sequoias for the future. The majority of giant sequoias are currently undergoing a gradual decline in density since European settlement. Ecology. Giant sequoias are in many ways adapted to forest fires. The bark is unusually fire-resistant, and the cones will normally open immediately after a fire. The giant sequoias are having difficulty reproducing in their original habitat due to the seeds only being able to grow successfully in full sun, and in mineral-rich soils, free from competing vegetation. Although the seeds can germinate in moist needle humus in the spring, these seedlings will die as the duff dries in the summer. They therefore require periodic wildfire to clear competing vegetation and soil humus before successful regeneration can occur. Without fire, shade-loving species will crowd out young sequoia seedlings, and sequoia seeds will not germinate. When fully grown, these trees typically require large amounts of water and therefore often concentrated near streams. Fires also bring hot air high into the canopy via convection, which in turn dries and opens the cones. The subsequent release of large quantities of seeds coincides with the optimal post-fire seedbed conditions. Loose ground ash may also act as a cover to protect the fallen seeds from ultraviolet radiation damage. Due to fire suppression efforts and livestock grazing during the early and mid-20th century, low-intensity fires no longer occurred naturally in many groves, and still do not occur in some groves today. The suppression of fires also led to ground fuel buildup and the dense growth of fire-sensitive white fir. This increased the risk of more intense fires that can use the firs as ladders to threaten mature giant sequoia crowns. Natural fires may also be important in keeping carpenter ants in check. In 1970, the National Park Service began controlled burns of its groves to correct these problems. Current policies also allow natural fires to burn. One of these untamed burns severely damaged the second largest tree in the world, the Washington tree, in September 2003, 45 days after the fire started. This damage made it unable to withstand the snowstorm of January 2005, leading to the collapse of over half the trunk. In addition to fire, 2 animal agents also assist giant sequoia seed release. The more significant of the 2 is a longhorn beetle that lays eggs on the cones, into which the larvae then bore holes. This cuts the vascular water water supply to the cone scales, allowing the cones to dry and open for the seeds to fall. Cones damaged by the beetles during the summer will slowly open over the next several months. Some research indicates many cones, particularly higher in the crowns, may need to be partially dried by beetle damage before fire can fully open them. The other agent is the Douglas squirrel that gnaws on the fleshy green scales of younger cones. The squirrels are active year-round, and some seeds are dislodged and dropped as the cone is eaten. Discovery and naming. The giant sequoia was well known to Native American tribes living in its area. Native American names for the species include Warona, Tuspungnish, and Hamewithuk, the latter two in the language of the Teal River tribe. The first reference to the giant sequoia by Europeans is in 1833, in the diary of the explorer J.K. Leonard. The reference does not mention any locality, but his route would have taken him through the Calaveras Grove. This discovery was not publicized. The next European to see the species was John M. Worcester, who carved his initials in the bark of the Hercules tree in the Calaveras Grove in 1850. Again, this received no publicity. Much more publicity was given to the discovery by Augustus D. Dowd of the Calaveras Grove in 1852, and this is commonly cited as the species discovery. The tree found by Dowd, christened the Discovery Tree, was felled in 1853. The first scientific naming of the species was by John Lindley in December 1853, who named it Wellingtonia gigantea, without realizing this was an invalid name under the botanical code, as the name Wellingtonia had already been used earlier for another unrelated plant. The name Wellingtonia has persisted in England as a common name. The following year, Joseph Decane transferred it to the same genus as the coast redwood, naming it Sequoia gigantea. But again this name was invalid, having been applied earlier to the coast redwood. The name Washingtonia californica was also applied to it by Winslow in 1854, though this too is invalid. Belonging to the palm genus Washingtonia, in 1907, it was placed by Carl Ernst Otto Gunse in the otherwise fossil genus Steinhauer, but doubt as to whether the giant sequoia is related to the fossil originally so named makes this name invalid. The nomenclatural oversights were finally corrected in 1939 by J. Buchholz, who also pointed out the giant sequoia is distinct from the coast redwood at the genus level and coined the name Sequoiadendron giganteum for it. John Muir wrote of the species in about 1870, "To behold the king in his glory, King Sequoia, behold, behold, seems all I can say. Some time ago I left all for Sequoia and have been under at his feet, fasting and praying for light, for is he not the greatest light in the woods, in the world, where are such columns of sunshine, tangible, accessible, terrestrialized? Uses. Wood from mature giant sequoias is highly resistant to decay, but due to being fibrous and brittle, it is generally unsuitable for construction. For the 1880s through the 1920s, logging took place in many groves in spite of marginal commercial returns. The Hume Bennett Lumber Company was the last to harvest giant sequoia, going out of business in 1924. Due to the weight and brittleness, trees would often shatter when they hit the ground, wasting much of the wood. Loggers attempted to cushion the impact by digging trenches and filling them with branches. Still, as little as 50% of the timber is estimated to have made it from groves to the mill. The wood was used mainly for shingles and fence posts, or even for matchsticks. Pictures of the once majestic trees broken and abandoned informally pristine groves, and the thought of the giants put to such modest use spurred the public outcry that caused most of the groves to be preserved as protected land. The public can visit an example of 1880s clear-cutting at Big Stump Grove near General Grant Grove. As late as the 1980s, some immature trees were logged in Sequoia National Forest, publicity of which helped lead to the creation of Giant Sequoia National Monument. The wood from immature trees is less brittle, with recent tests on young plantation-grown trees showing it's similar to coast redwood wood in quality. This is resulting in some interest in cultivating giant sequoia as a very high-yielding timber crop tree, both in California and also in parts of Western Europe, where it may grow more efficiently than coast redwoods. In the Northwest United States, some entrepreneurs have also begun growing giant sequoias for Christmas trees. Besides these attempts at tree farming, the principal economic uses for giant sequoia today are tourism and horticulture. Cultivation. Giant sequoia is a very popular ornamental tree in many areas. It is successfully grown in most of Western and Southern Europe, the Pacific Northwest of North America, north to southwest British Columbia, the southern United States, southeast Australia, New Zealand and central southern Chile. It is also grown, though less successfully, in parts of eastern North America. Trees can withstand temperatures of -31 degrees Celsius or colder for short periods of time, provided the ground around the roots is insulated with either heavy snow or mulch. Outside its natural range, the foliage can suffer from damaging windburn. Since its discovery, a wide range of horticultural varieties have been selected, especially in Europe. There are, amongst others, weeping, variegated pygmy, blue, grass green, and compact forms. Europe. The giant sequoia was brought into cultivation in 1853 by Scotsman John D. Matthew, who collected a small quantity of seed in the Coniferous grove and took it home to his noted horticulturist father Patrick Matthew of Gourdie Hill, near Errol in Perthshire, arriving with it in Scotland in August 1853. A much larger shipment of seed collected by William Lobb, acting for the Veitch Nursery at Budlake near Exeter, arrived in England in December 1853. Seed from this batch was widely distributed throughout Europe. The tallest giant sequoia ever measured outside of the United States is a specimen planted near Ribeauvillé in France in 1856 and measured in 2014, at a height between 57.7 meters and 58.1 meters at age 158 years. Growth in Britain is very fast, with the tallest tree, at Benmore in southwest Scotland, reaching 56.4 meters in 2014 at age 150 years, and several others from 50 to 53 meters tall. The stoutest is around 12 meters in girth and 4 meters in diameter, in Perthshire. The Royal Botanic Gardens at Kew in London also contains a large specimen. Biddulph Grange Garden in Staffordshire holds a fine collection of both Sequoiadendron giganteum and also Sequoia sempervirens. The General Sherman of California has a volume of 1,489 cubic meters. By way of comparison, the largest giant sequoias in Great Britain have volumes no greater than 90 to 100 cubic meters, one example being the 90 cubic meter specimen in the New Forest. Numerous giant sequoia were planted in Italy from 1860 through 1905. Several regions contain specimens that range from 40 to 48 meters in height. The largest tree is in Roccavaione, in the Piedmont, with a basal circumference of 16 meters. One notable tree survived a 200-meter-tall flood wave in 1963 that was caused by a landslide at Vafone Dam. There are numerous giant sequoia in parks and reserves. Growth rates in some areas of Europe are remarkable. One young tree in Italy reached 22 meters tall and 88 centimeters trunk diameter in 17 years. Growth further northeast in Europe is limited by winter cold. In Denmark, where extreme winters can reach -32 degrees Celsius, the largest tree was 35 meters tall and 1.7 meters diameter in 1976 and is bigger today. One in Poland has purportedly survived temperatures down to -37 degrees Celsius with heavy snow cover. Two members of the German Dendrology Society, E.J. Martin and Ille Martin, introduced the giant sequoia into German forestry at the Sequoia farm Kaldenkirchen in 1952. 29 giant sequoias measuring around 30 meters in height grow in Belgrade's municipality of Lazarevac in Serbia. The oldest Sequoiadendron in the Czech Republic, at 44 meters, grows in Ratmarysuvotic Castle Garden, United States and Canada. Giant sequoias are grown successfully in the Pacific Northwest and southern U.S., and less successfully in eastern North America. Giant sequoia cultivation is very successful in the Pacific Northwest from western Oregon north to southwest British Columbia, with fast growth rates. In Washington and Oregon, it is common to find giant sequoias that have been successfully planted in both urban and rural areas. In the Seattle area, large specimens are fairly common and exist in several city parks than many private yards. In the northeastern U.S. there has been some limited success in growing the species, but growth is much slower there, and it is prone to Cercospora and Cabotina fungal diseases due to the hot, humid summer climate there. A tree at Blythewold Gardens, in Bristol, Rhode Island is reported to be 27 meters tall, reportedly the tallest in the New England states. The tree at the Tyler Arboretum in Delaware County, Pennsylvania at 29.1 meters may be the tallest in the Northeast. Specimens also grow in the Arnold Arboretum in Boston, Massachusetts, at Longwood Gardens near Wilmington, Delaware, in the New Jersey State Botanical Garden at Skylands in Ringwood State Park, Ringwood, New Jersey, and in the Finger Lakes region of New York. Private plantings of giant sequoias around the Middle Atlantic states are not uncommon, and other publicly accessible specimens can be visited at the U.S. National Arboretum in Washington, D.C. Since 2000, a small amateur experimental planting has been underway in the Lake Champlain Valley of Vermont at the Vermont Experimental Cold Hardy Cactus Garden, where winter temperatures can reach -37 degrees Celsius with variable snow cover. A few trees have been established in Colorado as well. Additionally, numerous sequoias have been planted with success in the state of Michigan. A cold-tolerant cultivar, Hazel Smith, selected in about 1960, is proving more successful in the northeastern U.S. This clone was the sole survivor of several hundred seedlings grown at a nursery in New Jersey. The U.S. National Arboretum has a specimen grown from a cutting in 1970 that can be seen in the Gotelli Conifer Collection, Australia. The Ballarat Botanical Gardens contain a significant collection, many of them about 150 years old. Jubilee Park and the Hepburn Mineral Springs Reserve in Daylesford, Cook Park in Orange, New South Wales, and Case Brooks Deep Creek Park in Victoria both have specimens. Jameson Township in the Victorian High Country has two specimens which were planted in the early 1860s. In Tasmania, specimens are to be seen in private and public gardens, as they were popular in the mid-Victorian era. The Westbury Village Green has mature specimens with more in Deloraine. The Tasmanian Arboretum contains young wild collected material. The National Arboretum Canberra has begun a grove They also grow in the abandoned arboretum at Mount Banda Banda in New South Wales, New Zealand. Several impressive specimens of Sequoiadendron giganteum can be found in the South Island of New Zealand. Notable examples include a set of trees in a public park of Picton, as well as robust specimens in the public and botanical parks of Queenstown. There is also a tree at Rangiora High School, which was planted for Queen Victoria's Golden Jubilee and is thus over 125 years old. Superlatives: largest by trunk volume. Some sequoias, such as the mother of the forest, were undoubtedly far larger than any living tree today. However, as of 2009, the top 10 largest giant sequoias sorted by volume of their trunks are: the General Sherman tree is estimated to weigh about 2,100 tons. The Washington tree was previously arguably the second largest tree with a volume of 47,850 cubic feet, but after losing the hollow upper half of its trunk in January 2005 following a fire, it is no longer of great size. Most AF champion tree points. The General Sherman tree is listed as the giant sequoia champion on the American Forest's Big Tree Registry, with 1321 points. Nominated in 1940 by Isabel F. Story, it is the biggest tree on the registry among all the species. Between 2014 and 2016, coast redwoods surpassed General Sherman by over 40 points. Tallest redwood, Redwood Mountain Grove, 95 meters. Tallest outside the United States, specimen near Ribeauvillé, France, measured in 2014 at a height between 57.7 meters and 58.1 meters at age 158 years. Oldest Muir snag, Converse Basin Grove, more than 3,500 years. Greatest girth waterfall tree, Alder Creek Grove, 47 meters. Tree with enormous basal buttress on very steep ground. Greatest base diameter waterfall tree, Alder Creek Grove, 21 meters. Tree with enormous basal buttress on very steep ground. Tunnel tree, Atwell Mill Grove, 17 meters. Tree with a huge flared base that has burned all the way through. Greatest mean diameter at breast height, General Grant Grove, 8.8 meters. Largest limaum tree, Atwell Mill, East Fork Grove, 3.9 meters in diameter. Thickest bark, 0.9 meters or more.